Hello there. Today we're going to be creating a quick little input-output program. I'm going to be doing it in C#. You can do it in Java, Visual Basic, any other language you prefer. If you are working on another language though, it's necessary that you understand a little bit about the nature of the language you're coding in, because the statements aren't going to be the same, obviously. Logic is going to be exactly the same, the statements are going to be different, your syntax is different, the code that you're referencing is different. And that aside, maybe you should download this. I have 2010 Express not only because Express is free, and there's no downside to that, but 2010, you can get C# alone instead of getting Visual Basic and C++ all packaged together. Wasting my time. So, C#. That's the only one you need. Just go to get the 2010 Express. No different from the newer version. So, let's go ahead and create a new project. Doing a console application. If you're in Java, you can just create a regular class and a regular Java file, and it'll do the same thing. So go down here, give it a name. Give it the name of input, output. And just a quick little rundown for people who want to know what this is. This is just bringing in code, importing code that is already made for us that we can reference. This is just the namespace for our project, which contains the class program, which contains a method called main that is called as soon as you run your program. And it does everything that is inside these curly braces right here. So go ahead and enter down inside of there. You're going to do this first line here, int my number equals 0. What we are doing here is, when we run this, it's going to set aside space in your RAM on your computer that is going to be able to store a whole number. That is, it doesn't have decimals. In our code, we're going to reference it as my number. That's what we called it. That's the name of it. And here we're saying that is equal to 0. And the semicolon is telling the compiler that we are done with this statement that we have just declared. And yes, that is actually a proper term. We have declared there to be a space in the RAM for this number. So, enter down a couple lines. So it'll do that first, then it goes to the next line, and you don't have to put an extra space there, but it looks nicer if you do separate the different logics from others. Anyways, next thing we're going to do, we're going to output. So console.write and parentheses semicolon. Get caught up there on typing that correctly. If you're in Java, system.out.print, same thing. So inside these parentheses, you're going to put 2 quotation marks. Inside those, you are going to put input your number, or a regular colon and a space. That's just so that it'll output this, and then it's letting you know it wants input. That's just how it's going to look. You don't have to put this. It just makes sense too. Okay. Then below that, you're going to do my number equals int dot parse open parenthesis console dot read line open parenthesis close parenthesis semicolon. I usually don't type that way. I usually just put the parentheses and then add into them, and you'll probably see me doing that in other tutorials, but that's just how you type that line right there. Basically, if you're thinking outside the box and you like to think for yourself, this is going to ask for a number. This is going to take whatever they input. It's going to, now this is a little harder because if you don't know what's going on to figure this out, but this is what they input. It's going to read the line of text that the person typed, and then they hit enter, and it'll do that. And this is actually going to take what they typed and make it into a number, a whole number, that we are then going to store into my number, which is why it equals this. So the reason that you have to convert it to a number is because it's a word initially. Technically it's a string, so they could input the, and that's not a number obviously, so this is going to try and convert it. Okay, don't input the, your program's still not going to work because it's not going to find a number and it's going to go down. So anyways, then next line is going to be outputting the number. So you do console dot write, and inside there your number is, and then after that quotation plus my number, and that makes sense, right? You're going to output your number is, and then whatever the number is that we stored, that they inputted, that we put aside. Okay? Okay. Last thing you want to do, console dot read, just read, or read line, whatever one. That's basically just going to wait until they push enter, and that's because if the program runs and then it gets to here, it just closes the program. But if it's waiting for them to input something, then after you input something, it'll close the program. Makes sense. 5 lines of code, that's all it is. If you want to explain things that you're doing to yourself, you can put comments, which is 2 backslashes in C# and Java. In Visual Basic, I believe it's just a single quotation. But basically, you put 2 backslashes, and then you type whatever you want to comment on. And this is declaring and initializing. And that's just for you. The computer ignores this. This is just so that I don't have to actually go through the code and see what's going on here. So I can put input and output. Okay, you see what I'm doing here? So that's just for you. You can do multi-line ones. I don't want to confuse anybody, but it's just a slash and then an asterisk, and you type something, enter, type something, enter, type something, and then you just put a asterisk and a slash, and then that puts it all in a nice little thing there. You can put as many as you want, and then it goes back into code after it sees this. Okay, quick little tip there. So let's go ahead and run this. You hit that green play button up there, or go to debug and then debug. It'll say debug, or run, and then input your number. So input 7, hit enter. Your number is 7. Mind blown. Look at that. We input the number and then it says your number is 7. So, and then after we hit enter again, it'll close it. So you can run it a couple times, and that's input output. Really simple, just to get the basics down. There's your first program. Give me some feedback, what you guys want to learn. I'll try to make some tutorials on it real quick. And thanks for watching.